All right, let's go ahead and get this thing back up and going. We're going to talk about some motivation. We're going to talk about some meditation. We're going to talk about some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Get ourselves into that place where we're utilizing our focus, our knowledge, our discipline. We had a little bit of technical difficulty there, but we're definitely back up on top of it now. So set that for 60 minutes. Okay, there we go. All right, so are we focusing? Are we truly utilizing what we have inside? Are we sitting down with who we are and asking the questions that nobody can ask but yourself, and who you are on the inside, and who you are within your vibration? And so I'm sitting here again today, and I'm getting on there, and I'm putting out those videos that I do on a daily, and just a reminder that I was down near the lake today, and it was so beautiful. And I sat there and I did meditation, and the wind was blowing, and it was cold, and it was miserable, and it was wonderful, because when you're facing off against things, my friends, they're not going to be easy. Sometimes you're going to have to get to a place where it's not greater than you, where you are greater than your challenges. And how do you start to utilize your challenges? And as I sat there, as the sun started to rise in the morning, as I was sitting down and as I was doing meditation, I was reminded that what we have going on inside of ourselves is greater than the challenges on the outside. And it brought back the mentality that um, when we give ourselves that ability to focus, okay, our bodies become clay to our minds, and it's inside of that place that we have we have growth, and it's inside of that place where we have patience, and inside of that place where the person inside of who you are is. And it's waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? It's waiting for you to find yourself. It's waiting for you to want to go through those moments, and to have those expansions, and to be able to overcome those kind of challenges. And as we sit there, as we put ourselves in that kind of a place where we start utilizing that part of our being, and as we utilize that part of our vibration, it will vibrate with positive things. And as I was sitting there, I started to feel the sunrise, and I could feel the energy coming from the sun. I could feel the ability to light up inside and to start to truly enjoy those challenges. And we can face off against those kind of challenges in our everyday. We face off against those kind of challenges when we go to a position that we first start as feeling that it's difficult, or when we're going through something where we don't know if it's possible, and we're facing off against those kind of challenges. And it's inside of those challenges that we start to find ourselves. It's inside of those challenges that we start to realize that we're worth it, that we can do it, that we can overcome the things that other people considered impossible. And as we're sitting down, as we're utilizing our growth, as we're utilizing our ability inside of who we are, that's when we start to open up to who we are on the inside. And it's with that kind of a place that focus starts to have a purpose. It's inside of that kind of a place where you're truly being tested, that your ability starts to open up. And it's amazing how, when you're facing off against challenges, when you're facing off against things that others would consider impossible, that they start to become possible. Okay, they start to become available to you to overcome. And it takes that kind of place to recognize that you have what it takes, and it takes that kind of a place to start to see that you're worth it, and that you can achieve your dreams and your goals, and how do you start to focus on that level? How do you start to overcome those cold times, those times that you may feel that you might not be able to continue. How do you focus when the things are not working for you, or can you stick to a task until it gets completed? Can you put yourself in a place where your mentality starts to open up and your ability starts to become, and where what you have going on you start to truly manifest, and it's inside of who we are that it takes that kind of a place and takes that kind of an ability, and it's amazing. And I look at every place that I've gone as the most beautiful place because the opportunities are around us all the time. The abilities to get the best positions are within your grasp. The ability to utilize your being, to utilize your focus, to utilize your discipline. And it's amazing that we can do that. It's amazing that we can utilize our gifts. It's amazing that we can utilize our talents, and are you doing that today? Are you using your gifts? Are you getting down with your heats and your colds? Are you getting down with your diets? Are you getting down with your mentalities? Are you getting down with the places inside of who you are where you have that ability to overcome those kinds of challenges? And those are the types of questions that I ask myself every day. It's the reason why I ask that question is what I'm doing today isn't motivation, is it meditation, is it inspiration? Because if it's not one of the three, what is it? And I I seek out that. I seek out those three because if it's not one of the three, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? And are we becoming those kind of tools? Are we using those kind of gifts? Are we utilizing that part of our being, our ability to focus into positivity, to continue to push in a direction that brings us closer to that, to push in a way that allows you to be who you are on the inside, to vibrate outwards from there. And you know, I sit here and I look at it and I say, hey, I can do this. I sit here and I tell you that, if you have made it through challenges, if you're going through a time, if you're going through a place, if you're going through something today and you focus, if you just give yourself the ability to focus, if you give yourself the ability to utilize who you are on the inside, you know, that you can get the highest in your professions. You can get the highest in your companionships. You can get that high in life. Life is worth getting high. It's worth getting high off of life, and whoever hears what I'm saying, they probably out there are listening and going, "Wow, he might be actually right on this one." Do we want to get high off of our lives? I mean, like, come on, guys. Hearing what I'm saying, life is worth it. It's an ability to face off against challenges that we can overcome, and it's amazing that we have those challenges. It's amazing that we can have that kind of a place that we can do that. And I can tell you, you can do it. But you got to focus. You got to give yourself just a little bit of time each day, just a little place inside of who you are where you recognize you. And a lot of people don't give themselves that kind of a time. They don't give themselves that kind of a place to have that kind of discipline. And it's inside of that kind of patience that you start to open up. It's inside of that kind of patience that the challenges that you're facing off against you start to overcome. And we can do that. We can utilize it. We can utilize that being inside and utilize that focus and utilize that purpose and overcome those kinds of challenges. And it's just like the same exact way that I recognized that, being next to a lake, on a cold day can turn warm. Can you turn your environments, can you turn your professions into a warm place, a place of joy, a place where you're focused in towards positivity, where you're letting the things that aren't meant for you move out of the way. There might be cold around you, but are you warm inside is the question that I'm asking you. Are you focused? What are you focused on? What are you focused into? How are you using your gifts? You know what I'm saying? Are you using your talents and your abilities from within who you are? And it's inside of that place that, it vibrates. It's inside of that place that we start to utilize our being, and it's inside of that place that the purpose starts to open up. And it's amazing that we have challenge like that. And I look at this, I look at these abilities inside of who we are, that it's worth it. And and it's amazing as I'm sitting there at the lake, and I'm reminded that anywhere we go there is beauty. Any place that we go, we might be looking at the sun or the sky, or if you have a moment to step outside and just recognize that you can find a sense of peace within yourself, that you can find just a minute for you and for your ability. And it's amazing how when we're in the professional aspect, you know uh, sales is customer service. And as you're working with people, as you're working through challenges, you're ultimately helping others out in the process of helping yourself. And when you're willing to help others, when you're able to understand that the law of riches gives you that ability, it gives you that ability to use your gifts, it gives you that ability to use your talents, it gives you that ability to use what you have inside of who you are. Then you want to start embracing your focus. You want to start elevating your mind. You want to start getting into that place where you're able to serve that customer, which you are inside of who you are, and inside of your mentality, inside of your ability. And see, a lot of people neglect that. When do we start to give that person attention? When do we start to give that person customer service? The service inside of who you are, that you are a customer of your life, that you are on your journey, that you are on your path, and that you can achieve your dreams, that you can achieve your goals, that you have what it takes. And it's inside of that part of who we are that it will open up. And a lot of times the challenges that you're facing off against are in your mind. The body's like clay to the mind. If your ability inside of who you are starts to overcome the challenges, then the challenges no longer affect you. And that was happening today. I was sitting there, I was doing breath work, I was next to the lake, I was enjoying the sun coming up, I was enjoying the rays coming off of the sun itself, in the lake, and the experience. And that was greater than the cold that was around. And it was a reminder, because after I finished meditation, got up, and I realized that, wow, it was really actually cold outside, but it didn't matter because I was really actually warm inside. And so how do we focus to let those type of things out of the way? How do we focus to allow the heat and the cold to no longer stop us? And it was amazing because when you do that for yourself, when you start to choose to want to have that kind of a way of mentality, and that kind of a way in your ability, it comes from within you. And and it will vibrate outwards. It will literally heat you up. It will start to uplift you, and it will start to allow the universe to use the gifts and the tools that you already have, and that are within you and that are also around you. And that it's worth it, and you are worth it, and your challenges are worth it. and your abilities inside of who you are to believe in yourself is worth it. And so as you're sitting there and you're doing meditation and you're sitting at a lake and the temperature is cold, or and it's not about what's going on around you, it's what's going on inside you. And see, a lot of people get crushed from the outside in instead of having the strength within themselves that they're focused to that point, where they start to create a foundation and focus. What is it that you focus on? What is it that you're focused into? And how are you utilizing that part of yourself? How are you utilizing that part of your being? Are you becoming that person that you want to become? Are you using those skills and those talents that you have? You have God-given gifts. You have God-given talents within every single one of you. Are you putting those talents and those gifts to work? Are you putting them to a place where you have what it takes, where the challenges no longer have the ability to hold you back? And see, a lot of people, they neglect that part of who they are. They neglect that part of their being. They neglect that part of their ability. And so how do we start using that part of ourselves? How do we overcome those kind of challenges? How can we find a way that the cold will no longer affect you, or the heat in your environment? You know, and the answer is inside of your focus. Okay, it's what you're focused into. It's when you're positively focused into the places where you want to go, that your ability inside is greater than the challenges that are going on around you, and that you have what it takes to overcome your challenges. And and I look at this, and I look at, I just had a challenge where I was without transportation, and my transportation was getting worked on, and it took a long time to get it back up and running, and finally it is in a place where it is doing so, where it is giving the ability within, and we each have that, though. You have that, I have that, we all have that within ourselves, and we have that within our abilities, and we have that within our mentalities. Are we taking advantage of it, is the question that should be asked. Are we taking the time to be who we are on the inside? Are we taking the time to utilize those kind of gifts, to utilize those kind of talents? And it's amazing that we have those kind of challenges around us, and ask yourself, what kind of challenges am I facing off against today? What am I going through that, when I get to the other side, is going to be worth it? And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these things and I'm looking at these abilities, and I'm recognizing that the utilization of it is right there in front of you. You have it inside of yourself. You have it inside of your being. You have it inside of your vibration, and it's amazing that we can face off against things and that we can overcome them. And it's amazing that what we have going on is worth it. And I see this, and I see these kind of things happening, and I want us to recognize that when you're going through challenges, to be patient with yourself, to be focused, to be positive, to use your gifts, your talents, your skills. What kind of skills do you have? Are you writing things down? Are you using those skills that you learned in school? And it's inside of that place that I seek it, and it's inside of that place that I look for the opportunity. I look for the ability within, the ability within, the mentality to overcome those kinds of challenges. And it's when you're embracing those kinds of things that the cold and the heat no longer have an effect on you. And you see, if it can't bother you, then it won't have the ability to. And it's when we're doing that, it's when we're putting ourselves in that kind of a place where we are that focused, where we are starting to have that ability, and it's starting to create that kind of mentality. And I recognize that a lot of people will go through challenges, and they're going to be different, but it's not the challenges that we face off against that's the most important thing. It's the ability to enjoy this process called life. It's the ability to be that person that you are, and to use those gifts that you have, and to use those talents that you have. And each of us have gifts, each of us have talents, and are we using them, is the question. Okay, are we using our ability within who we are? Are we getting down with that part of ourselves. And you see, I sat there and I did meditation, and as I closed my eyes, as I started working with the breath work itself, as I started to get to the place where I was so focused that the energy within was greater than the cold on the outside, I started to feel warm. And I started to create heat. I started to create the ability for the challenge to no longer be greater on the outside than on the inside. And that is where real work happens. That's where the real work happens. And when you face off against that person inside of who you are, and you start to work on that one, and it starts to happen, and it starts to manifest, and it starts to become. And when you're using that kind of gift that you have and those kind of talents that you have, when the universe starts to yield, it starts to bring a joy, it starts to bring an ability inside of who you are to overcome your challenges. And so you sit there and you're meditating, and as you're doing so, you're working through the things that are going on inside of you. And it's amazing how wonderful that part of focusing is. It makes writing or speaking or using the gifts that you have worth it. And it's inside of who we are that we continue to clock in, and start to put ourselves on that track, and put ourselves in front of the camera just like I do on a daily. And it's inside of that part of who we are that it starts to become worth it. And you are worth it to spend that kind of time on yourselves. You are worth it to spend that kind of ability inside of your being, inside of your purpose. Your path is worth it. You have challenges, and you have the ability to overcome those challenges too. And it's only going to happen when you focus to that point. It's only going to happen when you give yourself that kind of a place, where you give yourself that kind of an ability. And I recognize that. I recognize that we have those kind of challenges. That's why we got to let them move out of the way on their own. We got to focus on what's going to uplift, what's going to bring you in towards a direction of positivity, in towards a direction towards yourself, towards your ability, towards your mentality. And you see, it's amazing that we have challenges, because without those challenges, we wouldn't be able to overcome them. And it's the person who finds the positivity in those cold or hot environments to overcome the challenge that it starts to become worth it. And so, are you seeing your value? Are you seeing your ability? Are you seeing your challenges as a way to embrace yourself? Hearing what I'm saying? You can overcome the things that you want to overcome. You can be the person that you want to be on the inside. You can utilize the gifts that you have. You can utilize the mentality that you have. But are you focused? Are you focused at becoming the best? Are you focused at using that part of your being? Are you focused at using that part of your purpose and that part of your journey? And are you able to overcome those parts of your challenges? And it takes that place where we have what it takes. And so I want to talk a little bit about when you start getting inwards, okay? I want to start talking a little bit about how to get inwards. It's inside of ourselves that the real fight is, okay? The real fight isn't on the outside. It's with you and opening up your mind, opening up your energy, opening up your ability, and to truly be inside of who you are. And when you are going through challenges, when you are facing off against things that you don't know are possible, if you have a positive ability, then the student inside of yourself starts to open up. The student who is inside of who you are, the one that you know, that person, that personality that you have, that ability inside of who you are, starts to open up. And it starts to become, and it starts to want to have patience with yourself, start to want to have observation, start to want to believe in yourself and to believe in your ability, and to believe in your mentality. And you see, that's the place where we grow from. Okay? It's when we're willing to sit down by ourselves, or sit down in a place within, or go within who we are and ask the questions that nobody else can. And it's amazing that we face challenges, because when you overcome those challenges, you get to see and you get to know that you were able to do it. And that's the place inside of who we are that we seek. We seek the ability to overcome those emotions, to overcome those pains, to overcome those fears, and to utilize the energy within ourselves, to utilize the ability inside of who we are, and utilize the ability inside of our mentality. And so, how are we doing it, my friends? Are you connecting with your simplicity? Are you finding the joy in the little things that you do, and the simplicities of your breaths, and your abilities to be who you are on the inside, and use those parts of who you are? And when we're wanting to become a student, when we're wanting to become who we are, and we're wanting to face off against those kinds of challenges that nobody else wants to achieve for us, it comes from within you. It comes from a place where nobody else is willing to go, and nobody else is willing to spend that space inside, because it's not meant for them. It's meant for you. It's meant for your greater growth, your greater being, your greater purpose. It's meant for you to overcome your challenges on that level. It's meant for you to overcome your challenges within who you are, and to be that person from within. And I seek after that. I seek after that ability and that mentality. And it's amazing that I've spent this many years on that kind of self growth, and I still have much to grow. And each of us do. Each of us have that place inside of ourselves. And it's amazing when someone seeks me out to teach meditation, to teach the art of breath work, the art of self-esteem, the art of self-understanding, the art of making it through the tunnel, and to start to see the light inside of themselves, to start to want to believe in themselves, to start to want to believe that the teacher has the knowledge within. See, that's how you could tell somebody who really knows meditation. It's when they connect you with the teacher inside of you. It's when they bring you to the place where you gain that understanding of yourself. It's where you gain that understanding of your connection with your purpose, with your path, with your own journey. And it takes that person inside of who we are to truly gain access to that kind of liberation. A lot of people are held back from their own freedom. They're held back from their own ability and their own mentality. And it takes a certain type of person to want to overcome that part of who they are. It takes a certain person to want to truly be who they are on the inside. And I recognize that it's not always easy. You know what I'm saying? And it's an amazing thing that you can face off against challenges, and it's an amazing thing that you can overcome those challenges. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your ability. You got to believe in your mentality, that you have what it takes. And I want us to gain access to that place. I want us to gain access to that ability. I want us to be who we are on the inside and to utilize that part of our mentality, and to start to be a student with your teacher inside, to start to want to become centered within your being, to connect with your inwards and your outwards breath, to connect with your whole entire purpose, your whole entire path. And you know, it's through being connected with you that you start to overcome those kinds of challenges. And it's with that kind of mentality that I seek after on a daily basis. And I seek after that kind of energy and that kind of place where the student is centered within the classroom. Are we able to be in that center space where you give yourself that kind of space, where you give yourself that kind of place where you start to have patience with who you are? You start to have patience with that person inside, where it starts to overcome the challenges, where you start to overcome the things that you're going through. And it's amazing that we have those kind of challenges. And it's amazing that I seek out to bring you closer to that reflection of self meditation, that reflection of self ability, that reflection of you. You hearing what I'm saying? That reflection of you is worth it. Okay? That reflection within yourself, that reflection within your being, and I cannot stress to you how wonderful it is that the challenges are there, that the knowledge within you is there, that you can overcome things. And I'm grateful for this place. I'm grateful for the place where I am inside, and the things that I have gone through, and the challenges that I've gone through, and the places that I've been in. Yesterday I was talking to a guy, and his wife had died after 34 years. What do you say to the guy? He wants to start to get out there and start to make friends. And you know he's up in his life. He has his all the things, that all the toys that he wants to have, and these things. And the one thing that he doesn't have was joy. And the reason he didn't have the joy was because he wasn't seeking it out in the right place. And so we're sitting down there, and we're talking, and we're communicating, and we're going through this kind of stuff. And he asked me, he said, I was thinking about getting out there and getting on some sites. And I said, why don't you just search out for friends? Just seek out people to enjoy you for you, the person that you are inside. Let them come to you. Let them find their way towards you. Let the ability inside of who you are start to overcome what you have, and start to believe in your being. And what about putting that person inside of who you are on a page where you start to feel that kind of joy, and allow those type of people to start to build a community with you and around you. And so it it takes that kind of a ability to focus. It takes that kind of an ability to use what you have on the inside, and to really believe in yourself, and to believe in your being, and to believe in your purpose. And it's amazing that if you're focused and your knowledge becomes centered within you, that you start to light up, that you start to find joy in. A few days ago when I first started going back to this lake, which I will be every day, you know, and I'm sitting there at the lake and I felt tears of joy, and I was really in a joy that I could be happy by myself. I really noticed that. I really noticed that I could be happy by myself, and it was an amazing thing. It was a truly amazing thing, and each of us can do that too. And when we become that person inside, when our knowledge, when our focus starts to become possible, when we start to be happy to be ourselves, then other people will be uplifted by you. They will find joy inside of you. When you start to become best friends with yourself, when you start to spend that time inside of yourself, you will attract the things that are meant for you. The people who want to be around you and want to embrace you and want to hold you will. But you got to care about that person inside of you. And when you do that, those people get added to your life. See what I'm saying? And so if you're letting those things out of your life, if you're hearing this message and you're going through that process right now, know that your knowledge inside of you is worth it, that your ability, that your challenges have come, but they've not come to stay. They've come to pass. That if you could continue to grind, if you could continue, even when other people are saying it's not possible, if you could continue to be who you are on the inside, if you could continue to give yourself that kind of a place, to give yourself that kind of an ability, that you will overcome your challenges. But you got to learn from that student. You got to learn from that teacher within you. You got to believe that you have what it takes. And I see these type of things today. I see these kind of challenges, and I see these kind of abilities. I see these kind of mentalities. I see that it's not easy. Okay, it's not easy to spend time studying yourself. It takes a lot of patience to study yourself, and it's inside of who we are that growth starts to happen. Though it's when you start to have those, okay, I understand moments. Okay, I'm working through these challenges. Okay, I have what it takes. Okay, I could believe in myself. Okay, I can believe in my abilities. Okay, I know I can do this. Okay, I'm doing this. Hearing what I'm saying, you can light up your world by getting to know yourselves. You can light up your world by just being who you are on the inside. You can light up your world by being the blessing that you already are. And it's amazing that we have that kind of a thing. We have that kind of a place. We have that kind of an ability and that kind of a mentality, and it's when we start to achieve it. Are you seeing that inside of who you are? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Are you asking yourself, what does it take to get there, and how do I overcome these type of things, and how do I get through these type of challenges? And it's when you start to do that that you light up the world, you know. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and start getting talking about this last piece today. Only got a few minutes left here, but gonna go ahead and start talking about getting into a place of discipline. You know, if you start applying your skills, if you start putting yourself in a place where you have what it takes, if you start to give yourself the ability to use your gifts and your talents, and then you will overcome them. You will find a way to make it through it. And as you're doing that, uplift other people. Find a place of discipline where you are being yourself, where you are using your skills, where you are using your talents, where the heat no longer holds you back, and where you have what it takes. And it's inside of that person that we are seeking out who we are. And I want you to be inspired to be yourselves. Okay, I want you to be inspired to be that reflection of your discipline. That other people will see you on your craft, on your skills, as the best in the world. But it's when we're not comparing ourselves to other people, and yet but uplifting other people, where we're recognizing that there's enough wealth and enough riches within the universe that we can all achieve it within ourselves, that we can all achieve it within our abilities, that we can be who we are on the inside and light up this world. And I want you to be inspired to do that. I want to inspire you to use your gifts. I want to inspire you to use your talents and to use your abilities and to utilize what you have. And when are we doing that? Are we using that? Are we becoming that? And it's inside of who we are that we're asking that question on a daily, my friends. That's why I ask myself that question: is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, what is it? And I'm starting to see that it can be worth it, and I'm starting to see the growth and the ability within, and the ability to overcome the mentality and to be able to focus to this point. And when that knowledge becomes possible, when that place of focus and knowledge becomes uplifted, where discipline starts to come from within, where the ability inside of who we are takes shape, and our ability to overcome starts to manifest, and you start to believe that you're worth it. you know and I see that kind of energy, and I see that kind of evolution. You hearing what I'm saying? You can do that. You can evolve. You can uplift other people. You can build a place in a beautiful community. And I'm already at nearly 4,000. I have 3,500 people following on Facebook. And motivation, meditation, inspiration dot yoga is moving along. And I see these beginning stages starting to happen, and I start to see these type of people that are wanting to achieve and wanting to become and wanting to manifest. And it takes that kind of a place to utilize it, and takes that type of a place to be there for it. And it's amazing how we do that, and how we spend that kind of time and that kind of energy on others when we can on ourselves. We can become that inspiration. We can become that type of person who uplifts other people. And we can build a more beautiful world that way. We can use the structure that we have. We can use the abilities inside of ourselves, inside of our mentalities, and we can focus past those kinds of challenges, and be able to build communities. And we got a motivation, meditation, inspiration yoga is nearly 4,000 people. And what's going to happen when I get to the 60,000? You know what I'm saying? It's in the process, though. You got to continue to work at your skills. You got to continue to use your crafts. You got to center yourself, where your whole being has a purpose, where your whole being is on a journey, where your whole being has a path, where it's inside of who we are that it starts to grow, and it's amazing to me how many people are seeking after places on the outside when we should be seeking after the one on the inside. When we become that kind of inspiration, we become who we truly are, and we find that light to shine outwards, and it starts to manifest, and it starts to overcome the challenges. Then you start believing in yourselves. You start believing in your abilities. You start to use your process, your focus, your knowledge, and you start to find that place where you are centered within your discipline. And that discipline has a reflection of inspiration. So when we're asking ourselves this question, is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? Because if it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And so here we are again today, uplifting each other. Here we are again today, getting to that place inside of ourselves. Here we are again today, focusing to the point where we have what it takes. Here we are again today, utilizing our gifts and our talents. Here we are again today, believing in ourselves and our abilities. Hearing what I'm saying? You can be that same kind of inspiration. You can wake up today and say, today is the first day that I'm going to start. Today is the day that I'm going to utilize. Today is the day that I'm going to manifest, that I'm going to believe in myself, that I'm going to believe in my ability, that I have the mentality it takes to overcome the challenges, to be that person who lights up in this world, who achieves within who they are, and starts to manifest within their being and within their purpose and within their path. And it comes from within that light. It comes from within that place that I would like to inspire you. I'd like to for you to see you're worth it. When you uplift other people, if my focus can yet but inspire you to be yourself, if it can yet but inspire you in that, if you might be going through that dark time in your life, to start to believe your ability and believe in your purpose and in your path. If you focus, if you're going through something hard right now, spend a little bit of time on yourself. Spend a little bit of energy on your being. Spend a little bit of energy on your purpose, and you will start to see that you're worth it. You will start to see that you have what it takes, that you can continue to grind, that you can continue to push forward, and you can get to that place beyond the challenges. And that, my friends, is a blessing. When you start to overcome your challenges, when you start to make it past them, because we all have them. When do we embrace them? Are we putting our whole self into it? Are we putting our whole being, our whole energy, our whole centered self, the whole entire you? Are you putting it in to the things that you're doing? Are you putting it into the places that you go? Are you putting it in to the mentality that you have inside? And are you lighting up in this world in such a way that other people see you as a reflection of inspiration? Let them call you that. You seek after that discipline. You seek after that ability. Look at those people who have achieved the top in their professions and their skills and their talents. You will find they are using their knowledge, their focus, and their discipline to get there. You can do it too. That is what this message is about today. My name is Marcel, and this is my message. Blessings and namaste.